Let's go take some footage. What do you think about the evolutionary forces that drove the rodents from St. Kitts over to Nevis?
It's rad.
So what do you think about the evolutionary forces that drove the rodents from St. Kitts to Nevis Island?
I think they had to get out of St. Kitts for a reason we don't want to talk about.
Yes? What do you think about the evolutionary forces that drove the rodents from St. Kitts over to Nevis Island?
I think that sucked.
So, Shamio, what do you think happened on St. Kitts and Nevis?
Bloodshed and murder!
Hello, Garrett. Talk to me about the squirrels on St. Kitts and how they got over to Nevis.
Well, you see, the rodents, they actually learned to build a raft, and they swim and paddle across from St. Kitts all the way to Nevis. What? Now, we're continuing. How do you think?
What do you think about the evolutionary forces that drove the rodents from St. Kitts to Nevis?
I was just asked about this, and I said that I think that those rodents are way too picky about their mates, and that they need to lower their standards if they want to survive as a species.
What do you think about the evolutionary forces that drove the rodents from St. Kitts to Nevis Island?
I think a lot of things about that. I think it's a tragedy.
So tell us what happened to the squirrels on St. Kitts that evolved to the squirrels on St. Nevis.
St. Nevis.
Well, yeah, they were squirrels, right? So they ate radioactive nuts. Right? Something. Radioactive nuts.
Right.
Thank you for your time.
Marlo. Yes. Talk to me about the relationship between the rodents on St. Kitts and the rodents on Nevis Island.
I have no idea.
What do you think about the species on St. Kitts? The squirrel species, to be exact, on St. Kitts and St. Nevis.
There's a lot of genetic variation.
Or Nevis, not Nevis, I'm sorry. Can I start over?
A lot of different genes there, I'd say. Many. Like a lot.
Like where they get their genes from Gap or like Banana Republic or what they get from?
Urban Python.
What's your favorite chocolate?
Thank you for tuning in to National Squirrelographic. This is Bill Nye the Squirrel Guy here on St. Kitts. It's a lovely, lovely day. Now you may have heard about the crisis of the two separate squirrel species on St. Kitts and Nevis. Well, I'm here to explain that. You just saw some interviews of people being asked the same question that I'm about to explain. Most people had no idea. Well, stay tuned after this commercial break, and we're going to explain it.
Has this ever happened to you? Don't be like this nerd.
Not again.
Instead, drink Evo juice. Now you've got it. Nice work.
Side effects include nausea, upset stomach, constipation, headaches, anxiety, insomnia, drowsiness, dizziness, nervousness, heart palpitations, loss of appetite or increase in appetite, weight changes, cold systems, dry mouth, decreased sex drive, or difficulty having an orgasm.
Major funding for
Squirrel
is provided by the following. The David H. Koch Fund for Science, supporting
Squirrel
and promoting public understanding of
Squirrel
science. And by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome back to National Squirrelographic. Now, there wasn't always squirrels on Nevis Island. They actually came from St. Kitts. Now, clearly some event happened, but I have absolutely no idea what happened. Why don't we ask a local?
A long time ago, there weren't squirrels here on Nevis, but a huge hurricane caused many of my friends and family to die.
Oh, I'm really sorry about that.
After the hurricane, it was pretty evident that there was a new squirrel species.
Oh, well, how do you think that came to be?
Well, I saw them drifting over on trees, using the trees like rafts, probably from uprooted trees from the hurricane.
Oh, well, thank you for your time, and I'll probably go interview some of your brothers now, but thank you. Oh, hey. Before we go any further, we should learn some background info on these squirrels.
Alright, and now it's time for some background information on the geography and squirrel life living on St. Kitts and Nevis Island.
Sounds good to me, Jeff.
Well, let's jump right into it, shall we?
Yes, we shall.
Alright, here we can see a map of both St. Kitts and Nevis.
We can see the Atlantic Ocean straight to the right and the Caribbean Sea right to the left of the two islands.
Why, yes, we can. Now, St. Kitts and Nevis is a twin island country with a total landmass of 140 square miles.
Oh, that's 270 square kilometers.
Now, the island of St. Kitts, that would be the larger of the two, is 68 square miles, and it's this
That's
big.
180 square kilometers. Miles, what the heck?
Thanks,
Okay.
Thanks, Wayne.
Sorry.
It's okay. Just keep the outbursts to a minimum.
I'm sorry, mate. Jesus. Okay.
Now, the island of Nevis is 36 square miles.
93 square kilometers. What is your problem, mate?
Right. Sorry, Wayne.
Right. Fun fact about them: they're 1/3 of the way from Puerto Rico to Trinidad and Tobago. It's a great fact, to be honest.
Thank you, Wayne. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Next slide, please.
All right, and here we have the typical day that you can see here on St. Kitts and Nevis Island.
Right, we can see St. Kitts, and then we can see Nevis straight in the background there. Those
Right.
lovely mountains, nice
Right.
clear blue skies, nice clouds. You can see a beautiful sea.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful place to be, really, mate.
We could extrapolate from this image that it's a warm and tropical place filled with vibrant life and vibrant people, if I could say.
Nice tolls, vibrant. Right, okay, I'd say that back in Britain. But yeah, nice trees for these lovely squirrels that we're gonna talk about soon to live in.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's just jump right back into the squirrel life, shall we?
Let's do it. Let's do it, mate. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next slide.
All right. Here we have the squirrel that is, typical that you'll see here on St. Kitts Island.
Right.
And
that's the St. Kitts squirrel.
This squirrel is commonly found in the tree, and it prefers to live in the tree because it is a lighter species.
Right, three whole grams lighter than the Nevis.
At exactly 83 grams. That's the average weight for the rodent here on St. Kitts, and
it's also a bit shorter, which kind of is in addition to the weight. If it's shorter, it's going to be nice and versatile to climb in the trees and jump.
Right. Not only does it weigh less, it's also shorter at 21.8.
Mate, I just said that. Okay, but anyway, the average.
I'm sorry.
Okay, bleep that out, mate. The average hind limb, it's actually longer, which makes sense. If you have longer limbs, you're gonna be able to climb the trees like a spider monkey, mate. Same with the forelimbs. They're longer as well, 4.2 compared to 3.9.
Right.
But yeah, nice look at the St. Kitts rodent.
Well, one last thing about these, Wayne. The St. Kitts rodent, because it lives in the tree, obviously needs to be able to, jump higher, jump farther. So we can see, the average leap height for the St. Kitts rodent is actually an entire centimeter higher.
That's interesting, mate. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
That's simply marvelous.
It's very fascinating. let's get right into the Nevis rodent.
Let's look at that Nevis rodent.
Now, this rodent is primarily found on the ground.
On the ground, mate.
On the ground, and as you can see, it's a little plumper. It weighs, 3 grams more, as we already stated.
Right.
It's a little longer, and its hind limb is a little shorter.
That's
which
right.
makes sense because
and forelimb, mate. Both limbs.
On the ground.
Right.
Now, that's where it typically lives, and interestingly enough, the gestation time for the Nevis rodent on the ground is 42.7 days.
That's almost double the St. Kitts. Now, I wonder why. I wonder why it'd be almost double. Now, I'm pretty sure we're going to do some interviews later that's going to explain that.
Yes.
But I can only assume that the gestation time is much longer on the Nevis rodent compared to the St. Kitts, is because on the ground there's not. Actually, bloody, I don't even know, mate.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure. Soon enough, we will know.
I'm sure we will.
Just
wait,
and good things will come.
Yeah, right. I feel
now. That concludes our little overview.
This is the chart we've been using.
This is the chart we've been using. Yes, right here.
Wait, are you mocking my British accent? Are you trying to warm me up, Barry? Okay. All right. I'll see how it is, mate. I'll beat you up, mate.
I'm very sorry, Wayne.
All right.
It won't happen again. I promise.
It's okay.
Wayne,
it's okay,
please.
Jeff, just. Okay.
Anyways, that concludes our little overview. Thanks.
If you want to just take a little time to look at the good old chart, you can see the differences we talked about, right? But other than that, mate, it's all over.
It's all well and done.
Well, this is Wayne and Jeff signing off.
Signing off.
Right, mate. And now for an interview with an expert.
So originally on St. Kitts, the squirrels had smaller bodies with longer limbs that they could use to jump between the trees because they primarily lived in the trees. Although some of the squirrels were more adapted to live on the ground. So after the separation, when the squirrels came to Nevis, there was so much competition in the trees that the squirrels had to adapt to a new environment, which happened to be the ground. So this is how they got bigger, chubbier, and they developed shorter limbs because they didn't need to leap as far. They had a shorter leap height, and they became a different species.
So tell me about what similar traits the two species still have.
So the squirrels are about the same length and they're about the same size, which is why people generally think they're one species.
Oh, okay, so it seems like the phenotypical traits are still what are similar?
Yeah.
Okay, so how about the differences in the two species?
So the two species have a lot of differences. The ones on St. Kitts actually have a much shorter gestation period, and this is because they are a little bit smaller mass. They're only 3 grams smaller, but their gestation period is over 10 days shorter.
Wow.
Yeah. And the ones on St. Kitts also have a shorter courtship display. It's about half of what the Nevis ones are.
What is a courtship display for the audience?
Okay, so a courtship display is basically what the squirrels do to attract a mate. So it could be a dance or anything that really gets them a partner. And so the ones on Nevis are actually bigger and they're not as attractive because they're all dirty, rolling in the ground. So they have to have a longer courtship display in order to attract a mate, and that's why theirs is much longer. The St. Kitts squirrels also have a farther leap height because they're more adapted to live in the trees. That's where their reproductive success happened.
Right.
But the ones in Nevis don't need that, so they have better reproductive success with smaller limbs, smaller leap height, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, do you think that the gene frequencies are different because of the variation in the traits between the two species?
Yeah, when the squirrels got separated by the founder effect, it changed the gene frequency dramatically, and on Nevis different genes were favored, so reproductive success led them to have the different genes we can see now over time.
Sweet.
So yeah, my team and I have been extracting DNA from both squirrels on St. Kitts and Nevis, and we compare each DNA and find the differences and what's similar and stuff. And we basically found what we talked about before, the different lengths of the limbs and like speed and stuff, that's all due to genetic variation. And this is because on St. Kitts, reproductive success came when the squirrels lived in the trees and they were more adapted to that, and on Nevis they lived on the ground and they were more adapted to that. So that's basically what separates the two species. From the DNA, like on a molecular level, we can tell that the squirrels have shared an ancestor pretty recently, but not recently enough that they can reproduce successfully, so they can't have fertile offspring.
Nice. So you guys really are squirrel lovers.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm walking through the woods of Nevis Island in search for the competitive rodent species that is competing with the rodent species that we're studying. But I've had no success so far. We know that this competitive species has driven evolution on its course, and oh my god, I think I see one now. Oh my god, it's the competitive species! Ah! Run away! Run away! Run away! Help me!
Imagine that!
Imagine we have an environment, and this environment is an ocean. Say the Atlantic Ocean, for example. We have species A all in this nice ocean here. We have a ton of individuals, millions, but I'm only going to draw 5 here. Now, there's going to be some variation in these organisms. Some are going to be able to swim faster and farther, and it's going to be more fit overall. That's survival of the fittest. Now, predators, we're going to call this species B, come around and they eat species A. Now what happens is species A, the ones that are more fit to their environment, the ones that can swim faster, they're going to survive and they're going to reproduce. That's reproductive success. So species B comes around, they knock out these 2 weaklings right here. Bam, they are gone. Now we're left with these ones. The gene frequency of the faster species A remains. Now when they reproduce, obviously there's going to be more than 3, but when they reproduce, there are going to be a higher gene frequency of the faster trait, of the fastness trait, whatever you want to call it. And because of that, they're going to evolve over time, long periods of time, millions of years. The species as a whole, and it doesn't have to, but it can evolve into a faster and more fit species. This has been Imagine That. Professor M.C. Squizzle. I'm going to explain how one species can turn into 2, and that's just called speciation. So here I drew 2 lovely animals, 2 different amazing species. We started back in time with species A. You can think of it as a giraffe, you can think of it as a long-necked horse, you can think of it as anything you want. But all we know is that over time passes, right? We get species B. You know, other than my really cruddy leg drawings, the only difference is the size of their neck. Now how did species A become species B? I drew a lovely tree here, and what happened was, let's say, 10 million years ago, species A primarily ate from the top of this tree. All this vegetation, let's say there's apples, there's different fruits, and there may be different vegetables up there. Over time, there's definitely going to be variation between, or in the population of these long-necked animals. Some are going to have long necks like this, and others are going to have slightly shorter necks. Now the ones with slightly shorter necks were able to get down and eat the vegetation that's here. I'm not really sure what that is, but separate vegetation from the long neck species. Now, over time, this is a diet change, and when the diets completely change in a species, there's going to be different, the body structure is going to be slightly different, and over long periods of time, possibly species B, or which was still species A, moved away. That's going to be a type of speciation, allopatric speciation. moves away and completely, over time, turns into a new species. And what that means is that if you were to try to mate them, you try to make offspring, they would either not be able to produce offspring, or they would have infertile offspring, not successful offspring. So that is how, over time, we get from species A to species B. Nope.
Nope. All right, bye.
Alright, so what do you think happened to the squirrel? Oh my God. Hey, no, I have to interview, sir. You're not gonna buy. Alright, so let's clear the hall. Alright, talk to me about squirrels.
Squirrels? Well, okay, I want to talk about them. They are really, really scary and deadly. And every time they can chase you, they scream like. So yeah.
You know, that is kind of God, I hate my job. There's a class in there.
Right now, we're waiting for people to walk by. And when they do, they're zapped up. Shh, I think she spotted us.
Run away! Run away!
Abused juice box. What do you have to say about the evolutionary forces that drove? I quit.
Why? Why do the good die young? 100% apple juice.
We must wait. Wait our turn.
Andrew's thinking dance.
Alright.
Let's go.
Thank you, Bat. You know, back in 1756, a massive hurricane. Not really sure exactly what happened, but I love you. So I'm here with expert squirrel lover.
Glad to be here. On St. Kitts. Originally the squirrels on St. Kitts had smaller masses, longer limbs.
So have you and your squirrel loving team So have you and your squirrel-loving team conducted any experiments recently? That's that interview done.
I like squirrels.
So creepy.
Turn it off first. Okay. Say something, Andrew.
Imagine this. Turn on the ocean. Alright.
Who was it, Andrew? Who was on the phone?
It was Jeff.